Hello, sir.
Evening. Here we go. Oh, Dr. V is here this week. Awesome.
Hello, sir.
Evening. Okay. Oh, let's change my angle a little bit. Teaching the young guys. There we go. Okay. Sit up. Go in. Take a look. And raise your right hand and recite the tenets. Shitop, courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, indomitable spirit. And recite the oath. Shitop, I shall observe the tenets of Taekwondo. I shall respect the instructor and seniors. I shall never misuse Taekwondo. I shall be a champion of freedom and justice. I shall build a more peaceful world. Bottle. Okay, just come in for a moment, guys, and turn your microphone off. Because we're going to be in lockdown by the looks for it. Well, we are for another week. So we'll have another class next week in Zoom. So I want you to tell me what you want to work on this week and next week in this class. So just unmute your microphone and say, or if you prefer, you can type it into chat.
Yeah.
Remember that pre-grading will be straight after we get out of lockdown.
So,
Yes, sir.
out some of the high-level patterns. So we like with the majority like psychics and kicking techniques, and in Tachumbu we have the flying techniques as well.
Yep. Yes. Okay. Cool. Anyone else have any preferences? No? Just some higher level stuff. Okay, so remember last week we did some work on generating power, okay, particularly using the hip, both in hand movements and in foot movements. Now remember, when you're generating power with the hands, your hip and hand move in the same direction. To a large extent, it's the same with your feet. Your foot and hip move in the same direction. So you want to make sure that the larger muscles around your body, around your hip, are driving your power. Okay, these ones here. So driving your foot, your hip into that movement. Driving your hip into this movement. Here, driving your hip forward for your front snap kicks. When you're doing your blocks and hand techniques, cross, just a small turn in my shoulders, 45, half facing here, and then I can drop, because my half facing in like an L stance is quite different from my half facing in a walking stance. And that difference in my hip really generates a lot of power. Here, this way. Knife hand side strike. Remember, those hips and shoulders are independent. So you can get a little bit more turn from your hip and then drive that hip into your strikes. When you're going outward, it's pretty straightforward for an obverse technique, because your hip and hand really naturally go in the same direction. When you're coming inward, it can be a little bit more tricky. So, or for a punch, for example, stepping forward, my hip has to lag a little bit so that it can go in the same direction as my punch. So that takes a little bit of getting used to. Then doing things like inward strikes, hip and hand coming in the same direction. We've just got to be careful not to overdo the angle of the knee. Okay, we're still want to get the angle of the hip. Boom, drive that into it. A good strong tweak there with the hips, keeping the knee, the finished position the same. Remember as well that your hands, your hips, your feet, your breath, everything finishes at the same time. But your hip starts earlier. So your hand has a really, really short time to get from the intermediate position all the way to the target, because it has to catch up to the hip. And they become a team. Okay, really driving through. So I want you just to start now. Pick a couple of fundamental movements. First, we're not going to do them full power. You're just going to use them aerobically to warm up. So if I'm going to do something simple like a knife hand side strike, I'll just go left, right, left, working on my timing of my cross, left and right, And after you've done about 10 each side or 5 each side, change movement. Go. Just pop through into a warm-up, and then we'll move up. Choosing them from your grades a good start. Yes, choose the higher ones. So higher level fundamental movements. No problem, Mr. S. I can't see you at the moment though. Oh, because I need to change to gallery mode. Sorry. There he is. Awesome.
Golden, watch that your hands come straight ahead and not align with your center. Okay, so not on the side, not on the side, but straight forward. Yes.
Now, whatever movement you're working on, if the hip allows it, even though you're not going full power, make sure you try to generate some power with that hip. So you're just getting the coordination of your hip and hands into the movement. Remember, when two hands are doing the same thing or pulling in opposite directions, then you haven't got the opportunity to jerk your hip. Don't overdo it. A lot of our movements, they don't allow for, take for example, dorsal movement 2. We're not winding up here. We're specifically told we're not. So we drop and straighten our hips a bit, but then we can just do a little tweak of the hips, keep the whole shoulder straight. Drive the hips in. Don't wind up here. Okay, from here, just a little movement. Feel free to start doing little combinations of movement from your pattern, little sequences.
Isabel, when you perform, don't look at the camera, look at where you perform. Yes, because otherwise your arms are all over the place.
What you can do if you want to, Isabel, is turn side on so you can block towards the camera if you're using the camera as a key for you. Sticking to your hand techniques at the moment, but put some sequences together. So Jacob, you might want to do twin knife hand block, flat fingertip thrust. And then the other side, twin knife hand, flat fingertip thrust. High punch there, Isabel. Strike, release, high punch. Good, you're starting to feel that hip, I can see it. Not quite so much wind up now. You want to just tail it off a little bit as well. So at the moment you're coming from side facing and swinging all the way across. Go half facing here, and then it's just a little movement. Okay, so from half facing.
Golden, be careful not doing a thrust, but really a reverse knife hand. Okay, you have the tendency to go a bit too straight. It's more circular with the reverse knife hand. Fine. Yeah. You're better on the right than the left. Relax more your arms and go for it.
Good, and pause for a moment. Just remember, for most of our movements, when we're turning from one movement to another in particular, our intermediate position is half facing. So if I'm doing a backward step turn, I'm not crossing. This is not my intermediate position because I'm side facing my opponent. This is a weak position to be in. So from here, I want to turn so I'm half facing the opponent and then drop into my movement, whatever it may be. The exceptions are if I'm going into a full facing position, often I'll be full facing here. So I'm not going half facing here, particularly if I'm going forward or backward. I just stay this way. Okay, but if I'm turning, then I'll go half facing here to finish my movement. Half facing and then boom, drop down. Just a little bit natural here. I can rise up to my X-fist rising block. So start doing some sequences from your patterns. Some of the tricky sequences, 3 or 4 movements together, repeat them half a dozen times. Go. Think about your stepping. Think about generating some power with the hips. You can lift your power up a little bit now. Still avoiding kicks at the moment. Yes, Mr. S. Oh, did I answer your question?
I was going to ask about kicks, sir.
Okay, no problem. We'll get into kicks in a moment. So string 3 to 5 movements together. Do a tricky sequence, repeat it. Repeat it 3 or 4 times.
Much better, Jacob. That's much better.
Just a little bit more pivot. But we're not doing the kicks just yet, Jacob. We'll get on to kicks in about 2 minutes. Don't jump ahead of me.
Jacob, when you do your straight fingertip thrust, be mindful to be on the center line, not on your shoulder. And your supporting hand underneath, but it's not supporting, but the reaction hand should be flat, not like this or like that. Okay, really flat here.
One of the sequences you can work on, Dosan, Jacob, you block, punch, back for side stroke.
Yes, sir.
Just pick a sequence. Now, that's an unusual back fist because the cross happens down by your rib cage. Okay, it doesn't cross up in front of your chest the way a back fist usually does. That one crosses a bit lower. For some reason.
Cameron, when you do your Sanmaki, you seem to lean slightly backward when you bring your hand. You seem to lean slightly backward.
Sanmaki. I thought you said Sanmaki.
Ah, Sanmaki. Sorry. And your guarding block seems a bit tight. Okay. The hand covering the body is okay, but I think the front hand is a bit tight. It could be the angle of the camera.
Do just watch your body angle as well there, Mr. S. You've got, Cameron, you're a little bit too much twisted towards the front. And be a little bit more sideways in your L stances. That's it. And you're open more.
Isabel, when you do your Dongchomuk, really watch your L stance, be in a proper L stance, okay? Because I don't really see the difference in facing and stance between your L stance and your punch full facing.
Jacob, that jump into X stance,
Yeah.
it won't go up.
Yes,
You're not jumping
better.
up there.
Better.
It's just a distance jump. So you just reach forward with that front foot and bring the back foot after it. Okay, it's purely jumping for distance. It's not for height.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now start adding your kicks into your sequences that you're practicing. So do 3 or 4 movements that have kicks in them. Remember to think about how you add the hip power to your movements. Again, don't start on full power. Start relaxed, but feel the power of your hip in these sequences.
Jacob, look where you kick. Look where you kick.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you were looking on the side. You were looking in front of you and not in the direction of the kick.
Make sure you get a high punch with a middle kick there, Isabel. So Jacob, good. We've got to make sure we're pivoting that non-support, that supporting foot, which you were doing well then. Good. Just watch this one. Pivot. Good. Try and lift it up. Colden, lovely. And come on. Okay, grab a quick mouthful of water. Okay, I want everybody to choose one pattern that you're going to work on and then demonstrate. Okay, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to practice the pattern, and then we're going to go through one by one, pin you to the front while other people are practicing, and you can do the pattern while Dr. V and I give you feedback. Okay, so you'll do that one at a time. So that initial practicing might only be 2 minutes, then one person will get called in while everyone else continues practicing their pattern. Okay, so get ready. Oh, in fact, go. Practice the pattern you want to work on. Got a couple of minutes. Remember what we've been working on, those big intermediate movements. Intermediate position, 1, 2, 3, pass through that. Get some hip into it. Finish each movement before you go to the next. Don't wind up there, Jacob. So from the block here, don't wind up to punch. From the block, just relax. Your hips will actually straighten up, and then you just got a little tweak of the hips. Okay, so it's a short movement rather than a big wind up.
Stop.
Golden, after your Yopchajirugi, don't drop the leg. Okay? Chamber it back and then sine wave. Okay? Yes, better.
Nice. Okay, Colden, should we start with you? Pin you. Okay, and when you're ready, Dr. V and I will just throw feedback at you as you go. Shi chop. Cross the wrong way there with movement 1, Colden.
Middle kick.
Come on, Baro.
Okay. The after the second Yopchajirugi, don't bring the left foot against the right foot. It's just a shoulder width, natural shoulder width. The same as the first one. Natural, natural.
Yes.
Yeah, just natural, and then you go.
After your just pin me so you can see more easily. Okay. From here, after your flat fingers at thrust, when you're coming around for your double forearm block, you kind of had that, I'll do it the other way so you can see. This kind of just came out as an afterthought, rather than from here, load, pull back, block. Okay, so it was almost like you weren't quite sure what that next movement was. Yeah, that's it. So load it and boom, smash into it. It's good. As Dr. V says, that second turning kick is middle. So you got a high turning kick here, try and make this pivot a little bit relaxed. Because you're trying to get those correct foot angles, it's looking a little bit robotic. So from here, we want to go turning kick, just relax here, pivot, boom, then you block, and then your middle turning kick here. Okay, so just from that first turning kick, put your feet down, relax your body, pivot, and explode that kick. Looking good. Anything else from you, Dr. V?
Yeah, when you put the foot down in the combination here, the feet are together. Yeah, feet together, yes. Then the second is middle, second turning kick. There was something else that I saw. No, it will come back. It will come back.
Looking good. Okay, go and keep practicing. Jacob, you're up. Ready? Shoot up.
Don't stop. Come back. Do not cross. Do not cross. Okay. Lift your hand without crossing your center line. Okay. Lift your hand without crossing your center line.
So from here, just kind of step out and put your hand up. Just natural. Spotlight you again. One moment. Oh, wrong person. I've got to find this one. That's the one I wanted. Okay. Chop. Yep, good. You should pull right back to your hip.
Okay, let's start with two last movements. You're chopping down. You're chopping down. It's horizontal movement. Okay, horizontal movement. What you're doing is from here and boom, you're chopping down when you should come horizontally for a good block.
From here, back and out. They go up a little bit in your intermediate position, but you smash them straight out this way. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You move onto a plane. You move onto a plane, roughly.
Oh, you were rushing your Sonkalmaki, yeah. So your front hand was a bit low. Yes. You're doing this rather than here.
And
yes. Time and get that one right before you go to the next one.
And that's easy to fix because you are consistent with that. Every time you do a guarding block, your front hand is too low. Okay, so you need to raise your front hand.
Just watch that your second hand is always coming right back to your hip. It's got a tendency to finish off your hip a little bit, so make sure it comes right back to your hip. Oh, and your left leg side piercing kick. You're not quite pivoting your supporting foot enough, so your bum's sticking out a little bit. Your right leg's looking good. Your left leg, the first side piercing kick, you're not quite getting enough pivot in it. Okay, so 1, 2, really pivot that foot, and then come into a nice walking stance here. I like your power, Jacob. I like your pace. Yeah. I think you're looking good. Just some tweaking we have to do.
Two things again. You need the sequence with Goltromaki, okay? Your pan circular block, pan downward block. The second series looks better than the first. The reason why it looks better, or the reason why the first one does not look so good, is because you rotate 90 degrees, okay? And by rotating, you overstep. So your walking stance is not straight, but you're slightly on the side. or your walking stance is slightly too wide. Okay, so you need to adjust that, and you need a bit more control of your foot. Your foot shape is a bit loose. You need a stronger foot shape after the Atrapusigi, for instance.
So,
So for that first Golchomaki, Jackie, probably the easiest thing to think about is if you focus on getting the width of your walking stance right, that'll probably make all the difference. Looking good. Okay, you go and practice, and we'll have Isabel, who is now in the spotlight. Ready? She's up. I can see you've been working on your hip power, Isabel. It's coming through. It's good. Think about the hip and the side kick. How can you get more hip on the side kick? You don't get it in this one, just straighten up and then drop down. That's it.
Okay, so if we take the last three movements, your angle punch, you do a circular motion. You do more something like that instead of a punch. Okay, so when you raise, you need to raise with a tight arm and coming in a punch. Okay. Yeah. And then the next two movements, your arms are too extended. Okay. Yes.
So the front elbow, or the bottom one, bring the elbow tight against your body, and the front one just goes forward to line up.
But don't be tight. Don't put your elbow against you, so there is enough space here. Okay?
So Isabel, I can see you're working on the hip motion. That's great.
Yeah.
So remember what I said last week, when we start working on the hip, we're going to start overdoing the spin and getting the stances a little bit off. You're in that position now where you're getting the hip, you're applying the hip, which is really cool, but it's flicking your back leg and stuff off in your stances. So just our next step is just to take that little movement back and think, is my stance correct? So you're not overdoing it, okay? But I like the way you're throwing in your front kicks. I can see the hip in the movement. So it's really going to help you. We've just got to tighten that up in the finish position. Twin fist upset punch. It's as wide as your hips. You're a little bit narrow. You're punching in towards you a bit. There's two opponents here. And watch that spot turn. From here, I should be stepping on my center line with my body half facing. Okay, so from here, I should step here and turn. At the moment, you're stepping all the way across and turning. Okay, so spot turn, moving the front line and center. The front of the center line is here. Pivot, turn.
At the start, your hands were a bit low. Okay, for your crossings, you started with your hands a bit low. You should start always with your hands shoulder level. Okay, because if you cross too low, then your techniques will end up not on the correct place. And my last remark would be, in terms of hip movement, stances, body position, I liked the first part of the pattern. But when you moved into your Yopchajirugi, double forearm block, and then the punch, so changing from your walking stance to your L stance, the punch performed onto a L stance, you were side facing.
Thank you.
That you didn't have control of your hips. Okay.
From here, you're stepping too far this way.
Yeah.
Rather than from here, here.
So So you need to remain in the half-facing position.
Good stuff as well. Looking good. Just keep working on that hip and then turn it back a little bit and get your stances right. And then remember those other little details that we've given you. Cool, go and practice those. And we'll pass it on to Cam. Ready, Cam, for your chosen pattern. Shijok. Come on, Baro. Okay, Kim, I want you to keep working on generating power with your hip. Okay, so the movement that you did it well in was in the second movement. Okay, from here, you used your hip well here. Okay, it was a nice drive. The first movement, your hip had already finished. Okay, your hip and hand are moving at the same pace. So everything's kind of just doing the same thing. Then you've got a good hip here, and then here it's all just going together. So it's your arm that's doing all the work. You haven't got any work from the hips. And then your hips are working here. And then the other movements, it's kind of good opportunity for the double forearm low pushing block to really drive in the hip, and you're not using it. Okay, it's just your arms doing it. The other place where you had good hip movement was in Sanmaki. You hit here, you opened up, and then you drop the hips. One little thing that you had though is your shoulders had already finished. So you had your hips here, but your shoulders had already turned. So your hips were doing a lot of work, but your shoulders weren't doing anything. So you want to delay the shoulders. So the hip drives the shoulders into this turn. Okay? So slow your pattern down a little bit, and for every movement, I want you to think, how can I add hip into this movement? A bit harder in slow motion movements. Here, hip. So from a half facing position here, my hips half facing, and then I drop into my stance, jerking that hip. You can't, of course, do it when both hands are doing the same thing. Remember to hold your hands here for this kick. 1, 2, little bit of hip here. We've done the Sanmaki, and then after the Sanmaki, you've just got a massive opportunity here to half facing with the hip, and then, oh, drive into it. So delay, think about delaying your foot a little bit longer, so your feet and hands move at the same pace. So it's a last movement from here, just a little last minute jerk from this position in half facing to drop into my stance and drop my hip. And that's the time that your hands have to do the whole movement. So from here, drive this. Dr. B?
Yes. To practice the movement, yes. Don't forget that in the pattern, it's pushing. Okay. So your breath is tiny bit longer.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Sanmaki. I had Sanmaki. I had exactly the same remark. You need to delay more your upper body relatively to your hips. So the hips come first, the legs, the hip come first, and you wait as long as you can before you drive your upper body. That's how you will generate the power.
Just to reiterate on that point,
yeah.
Your hips and legs are doing a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Your shoulders are just turned too early. Okay. Cool.
Yep.
Okay, go through and have another run through and just have a play with that. It's good to slow it down when you play with that stuff. Slow the pattern down. Those of you who have been working on those patterns a little bit longer, feel free to come in and ask any questions that have come up while you've been practicing. So when you're working slowly, just think a little bit about where can I use my hip? Where can I use my hip? Oh, normal speed. After all these years, still do that wrong sometimes. And then from here. That's it, Cam.
Yeah, much better.
Think hip here, Cam. How can I get my hip into this double forearm block? After your extra pressing block, this is a great opportunity to think from here. Yeah, better hip. That's better.
Isabel, you're standing too much. You're standing too much. You need to drop into your stance. Sit into your stance. Yeah. Better.
Jacob, that's looking better. That one looks good. Okay, and grab a drink when you finish the little sequence you're doing. Okay, after this, let's just do a little bit of practice for black belt fitness test because we've had a bit of an easy session. So let's step it up a little bit. So we'll start with our push-ups. I'll count for us. Okay, ready, push-up position. Aiming for 50. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Try and really push up. 4. Go fast up. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. And come on. Okay, a couple of little pointers for push-ups. First up, do them every day. As soon as you get up in the morning, drop and do 50 push-ups. Second thing, use something that's about the size of your fist. That's a little bit small. Something about the size of the fist that you put under your chest. And each push-up, you want to touch whatever it is under your chest. I'll see whether I can find something else that's better size. Maybe my drink bottle. A little bit better. Okay. Second thing, relax, go down and up as quickly as you can, and then take a little breather before the next count. So some of you are going quite slowly here, which is going to tire your muscles out when you're doing this. So think down, up, and pause, down, up, and pause, down, up. Almost like you're using the springing of the down motion to get you back up. Okay, so with your push-ups, think as much as you can. Also, you can make little adjustments with your hands to use slightly different muscles. Okay, so you get a slight variation from here to here to here. Okay, just little movements, but you can't do outrageous stuff. They're basically under your shoulders. But most importantly, you've got to do push-ups every day to get the strength up. And breathe down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, it's the best way that I've found to get that number of push-ups out. Just work on them. The earlier you start, the easier it's going to be to do. Now, you might want to start, one of the recommendations is maybe you start with a chair and do your push-ups this way. Because you're using less weight, less of your body weight in your push-up. Okay, so you'll be able to get more of them out. And as you get to 50 or 60 like that, you slowly reduce the decline. Okay? Fitness tests are the easiest marks to win or lose at grading, depending on how well prepared you are, because they are completely objective. It is hard because it's the end of the Saturday. You've done a full workout for that day. So you really want to be, when you're fresh practicing, you want to get your push-up counts right up way over 50, so that when you're tired, you're doing 50. Remember, of course, you're following up with your prone hold. Okay, which we're about to do. Ready? Prone hold. Remember doing things like tightening your bum and leg muscles to help you relax. Little movements with your arms, although you may not be allowed to clasp your hands, so don't get into the habit of clasping your hands. Look, go sideways and turn your head at the camera every so often to see the angle of your bottom. Let me find my clock. Stopwatch ready. 3, 2, 1, go.
Cameron, lower your bum a little bit. Yeah.
Nice, Colden. You want to try as much as you can to relax your muscles. You got to keep that core tucked in. But if your shoulders are too tight, then you'll tire yourself out quickly. So you want to try and relax the shoulders if you can. Jacob, try and keep that bottom down as well. That's it.
Nice, Cam.
It's very important to tuck that core. Try and keep, and it's almost like you're trying to bring your groin towards your tummy button. Try and pull them close together. As I've said before in class, I always found it was really useful if I looked at something on the ground and just studied it. If it's a flex in your concrete, just really study the colors, study the shapes, study the lines, anything to take your mind off what you're actually doing. Master Breen found it was good to step through his patterns in his head. I couldn't do that. I find as soon as I turn around and my patterns in my head, they don't work anymore. Okay, that's 1.5 minutes now. Again, the way to improve these, if you need to pause, take a breath, then get straight back into it. Once you feel your back cave, stop. You're not going to do yourself any benefit after that. If you really want to push that, keep that core tight. Two minutes. Remember, the pass mark for black belt grading is 65%. You want to be aiming for at least 75% in every item in the fitness test. You want this to be something that lifts your grading up, not drops it down. Two and a half minutes, 2.5 points. Bottom's getting a bit high there, Jacob.
Golden, you could move slightly forward to have your shoulder aligned with your elbows. Yeah.
That is another little trick that you can do to give yourself a little rest, is you can extend forward and shorten back a little bit. That's 3 minutes, 5 seconds. That's 3 points out of 4.
Cam, lower your lower back. Yes, nice.
Three and a half minutes. It's 3.5 points. Might as well get the 4 from here. $20 seconds left. $10 seconds left. Come on, it's 4 minutes.
So Cameron, your first round, if you want, you lasted for 1 minute and 45 seconds.
Okay. Now we haven't got pads to do pad rounds, so we're going to proxy it. We're going to see how many burpees you can do in 1 minute, and we're going to do it 4 times with a 20-second break, because burpees are awesome. Okay, so let me just get my timer. Actually, I changed my mind. We're going to do it as a Tabata. Okay, so we'll do 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, 8 rounds. As many as you can. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, go. Burpees. Keep your count. Rest. Ready. Go. Rest. Ready. Go. Try and kick both feet back and bring them both up. Rest. Ready. Go. Rest. Ready. Go. Rest. I think that was round 5. Ready. Go. Keep it up, Cam. Rest. 2 rounds left to get in. Go. Assuming I didn't lose count.
So all good. It's number 7.
Rest.
Last one.
Last rounds. Go. 20 seconds. Push. Come on. Good work.
Well done.
Okay. And there we go. Sitting down. Left leg out. Or both legs out. Right leg over the top of left leg. And stretch off. Should feel like you've earned a stretch. Relax, breathe deeply. And change legs. If there's anything particular that you want to work on next week, have a think. Feel free to fire it through to me by email or come ready next class. There's things like step sparring that we can work on. Take the time during this break to read through your self-defense handbook so you're really confident with that stuff, so that we can get straight into practicing it with people. You know what the techniques are and you've just got to get to do them to make them work. You don't have to learn what they are. Step sparring, of course, you can practice alone. And both legs out. Stretch nice and tall. Breathe in and out. No problem, Max. As the weather gets nicer, you'll be able to mark out the 15 meters outside for the beat test. Download the app, do your 15-meter beat test. As I say, push-ups every day. Prone hold, beat test, 2 or 3 times a week. Prone hold probably more. Heels in, breathe in, and out. Remember, when you're practicing your push-ups, get something about the height of your fist and pop that under your chest. Okay, so you want to touch your chest to that each push-up. It's the height they're expecting. Sometimes in grading, well, what we used to do, and sometimes I think it's still done, you partner up. One person does the push-ups and the other one has the fist under chest. And you only count the ones where the fist touches the chest. So it's worthwhile being ready for that just in case. So practice that way. Next part. Stretch nice and tall. And down towards the left. Just breathe deeply. Each time you breathe out, you should go a little bit lower. Reach over with the other hand so you're getting a stretch down the side of your body as well. So rather than turning, reach over the top. Turning is also a viable stretch, just a different stretch. And breathe in, sit out nice and tall and go the other way. And up. Breathe in and come straight down to the center. And drag your bum back, bring your legs in. You might just want to lie down on your stomach. Relax. Find if I rock my hips a little bit. That helps to relax my back and my abs. And then just come up onto your hip, the elbows. And stretch that part of your abdomen. Feel the back stretch out as well. If that's really comfortable, you can just come up onto your hands. Then just arch your back the other way. In yoga, this is called child's pose. Feet down underneath. And standing up. Left leg behind. And change, other left leg behind. If you're doing this stretch at home and you've got access to a cushion or a soft floor, you get a really nice quadricep stretch like this. Very, very nice quadricep stretch. And you can do your lunges in this position as well. So you're not worrying about balance. Really nice lunge in here. And come on. Okay, thanks everybody. Really great to see you. I look forward to seeing you in the senior class tomorrow. And then we've got a class on Thursday. And then, of course, back in our lounges again next week. Unfortunately, come on, New Zealand, we can do it. We can get down to level 2 so we can get back in the dojo. That's the only reason to get down to level 2, isn't it? Back in the dojo. Okay, thanks, guys. Thank you, Dr. V. Kia ora. Te koa. Huzzah. Hello.
Thank you, sir.
So,
Thank you.
There.
Bye.